We start today with 3 troops killed in Jordan. And very quickly, we are once again presented with one of these situations where the instinct of the Republican Party is bloodthirsty demands being placed on a Democratic president who will be told if he does things that he did them illegally, and if he doesn't do things that he isn't bloodthirsty enough, that he's weak, he's a sissy, and Democrats can't keep us safe, etc., etc. And it's really, we're going to go through the details of this situation. When these things happen, it's the prototypical contrast between Democrats and Republicans, all based around longstanding stereotypes about how Democrats supposedly do foreign policy, while really it's just Republicans caricaturing themselves as the bloodthirsty maniacs they claim not to be when they run for office. So let's first start with what happened. 3 American troops were killed and dozens more were injured in an overnight drone strike in northeast Jordan near the Syrian border. At least 34 injuries is the number right now. This was a one-way attack drone, and 8 individuals were flown out of Jordan for follow-up care. Now, the initial assessment, it's not 100%, and there are those who will never accept that we have any assessment that's accurate, but the initial assessment is that one of several Iranian-backed groups was behind this. And Iran's mission to the United Nations said in a statement earlier today, Tehran was absolutely not involved in the attack. As is often the case, well, Tehran is not involved, but if the groups are backed by Iran, then is it involvement or not, or is it proxy involvement? And these are all questions that can be asked about the United States and other theaters as well. That doesn't in any way disqualify the questions here. What we know in terms of a follow-up is that immediately Iran-backed fighters in East Syria started evacuating their posts, anticipating American airstrikes, which Joe Biden has said, we aren't going to do nothing, but hasn't yet made clear what the U.S. is going to do. Now, as a historical note, the U.S. hasn't conducted a military operation on Iranian soil in 4 decades. But over the last decades, the U.S. has hit Iranian targets in Syria and Iranian targets in Iraq. And of course, we know about the vast number of sanctions that have been imposed, the idea being choke off military funding to those regional allies of Iran. Now, there is a risk of escalation here. There are those who are jumping very quickly to this will define the re-election or lack thereof of Joe Biden 9.5 months from now. I believe that's unlikely to be the case, but I'll talk a little bit more about that in the next segment. But right away, it's so predictable. There are times when the military should do things and times when it should not. It's not anti-progressive to say sometimes a military should do things. Additionally, it is a reasonable instinct to be very skeptical of American military intervention around the world because it's gone wrong so many times. That's also a sensible and logical progressive perspective. But the Republican hawks immediately saying Biden needs to do X, Y, Z, and he won't do it, and he's a sissy, and Democrats are doves, and so on and so forth. We have Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, who said that there should be, quote, serious crippling costs imposed on Iran for what took place. Senator Lindsey Graham, one of our favorites from South Carolina, said that what has taken place requires much more than just the U.S. taking out some Iranian proxies, because taking out the proxies alone, quote, will not deter Iranian aggression. And we need, quote, to strike targets of significance inside Iran. Senator Tom Cotton from Arkansas, Republican, said, quote, the only answer to these attacks must be devastating military retaliation against Iran's terrorist forces, both in Iran and across the Middle East. Very hawkish statement. And Senator John Cornyn tweeted, or I guess excreted on X, quote, target Tehran. So you can always count on Republicans to say military action, except when they're running for president and they now want to claim that they are the anti-war party. This is the funny contrast now with Republicans. Since Trump, Republicans very quickly saying, we'll keep us out of wars. Hillary will start 4 wars. Biden's going to war. We will keep us out of war. And yet, on October 8th, they make the most bloodthirsty demands. Now, on January 29th, hours after what took place here, they are making the most bloodthirsty demands. So this "we are the anti-war party" now stops as soon as they have an opportunity to generate military conflict. Now, it's important to understand the backdrop here of this entire situation is that the United States has been conducting strikes against Iranian-backed militias in Yemen and in Iraq in response to attacks on American forces, which came because of American support for Israel. So all of these things are intertwined in ways that don't make it clear what exactly should Joe Biden do here. Biden is getting rebuked by more dovish lawmakers for not seeking prior congressional authorization for the strikes that took place. And Biden's getting rebuked by the hawks because his retaliation has been insufficient, as Lindsey Graham said. So he's both not doing enough and doing too much without authorization. Will this impact the November election? Probably not, although we're hours into this and things can change. I want to talk a little bit about the panic that is growing about November before we go any further.